Excuse me, damn it.
That's an intro. There you go. That's a way to start us.
We'll just let you know this is a mature He-Man related podcast here, people. So, anyway, hello and welcome to a brand new edition of the Fans of Power podcast. I'm Tyler Baker, and with me as always is Rotten Amato, Joe Amato, and Nasty Nate Kennedy.
Well, Nathan ain't really here. He's kind of here in spirit.
I thought Nathan would be here just for the brief opening, then you have to go take off for whatever for the stuff he's got to handle. But letting you know that Nathan is here in spirit in some form or fashion. He'll pop in, I'm sure, every so often. So, but
yeah, we always try to get him into the mix. Yeah, we try to get him in the mix when we can. When it's nothing, like I said, with some of the discussions we'll be doing where he's like, I'm kind of out. But definitely when there's stuff mini comic stuff or even kind of recent things, we always like having him on. So it's not like I'm trying to kick him off.
We just want to pinpoint that, Nathan's not really a true fan.
Yeah, he's
this podcast is for true fans. You want details on character profiles and thoughts and ideas and mini comic reviews. You come to this podcast because we give you just more than just the bare minimum. We give you everything here. We're like a high class escort. We're not just going to give you the bare. We're going to give you everything. You're going to give us your time. We're going to make it worth your while there.
I think I might be the cheap one, though. I'm the cheap escort.
Oh, you're like the cheap hooker on the corner. I'm the high-class call girl that you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's an unlisted phone number. You got to get it from a guy who knows a guy to get my number.
Me, here. It's real easy. I'm right there. It's like, this guy? Yeah, he's nothing.
That actually, I could picture like Joe's on the street corner dressed like a woman. Hey, baby, you want a date with me, sweet thing? And instead of like being a real prostitute, Joe's like, well, you really don't want any of this, but I do have some customs I'll sell you for $10 a piece. And then I got to bust Joe for trying to, whore his customs out there. And because I thought it was a prostitute officer. I swear, I'm like, yeah, I've heard it all.
Yeah, no, it happens. You're right. I've said that before. Like, I don't want to hold myself on the podcast.
Like a big, like foxy brown wig and everything like that. And doing his hardest.
How did this happen?
Street hooker.
I don't know what's just happened to the podcast, but first, let me say hello to everybody that's been here waiting since the beginning. JSP, Zentron, Delvis78. I even thought I seen our favorite blockhead, but I clicked live chat for some reason. I don't know if I've seen that now, but I did say Zentron, Febmon, Zen Brown. I'm still scrolling down. I'm almost, I think, live to the. I did see your favorite. Oh, hey, there he is, your favorite blockhead. I'm still going. I'm almost to the bottom. And Grimbot's here as well, and JD Gibson. So there, I think I got everybody there. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, and like I said, we have our discussions we'll be doing. Also, I wanted to talk about a couple of the recent things they showed with some He-Man news. One we'll knock out real quick, like we always do.
God, do you have to sit and acknowledge this?
It'll be quick when I do that. But first, I want to at least acknowledge the Mega Constructs, which have popped up. The Wave 4 of those with Man-at-Arms, Eva Lynn, these 5-packs, the Wind Raider. And I think I only have 2 of those Mega Construct figures, but I'll admit, looks pretty damn cool, especially that Wind Raider. That is a really nice piece. I've seen so many people in these groups that bought it and then put it together. And damn, it looks cool. So if you guys are into those Mega Constructs, yeah, go look in Walmart. I think that's where most people were finding them. I don't know if they're anywhere else, but if you go to Walmart, that's where they are. And I know, Tyler, I know you said you're not really big on the Mega Constructs, which I can understand. Everybody's got different tastes for different things. But for those who are wanting them, hit your Walmarts, maybe other places. Hopefully they'll be there.
I'm really feeling, well, when I am in Walmart, I do look, and I haven't seen any of the new stuff. None of it. But I am kind of getting to that point. I really feel like I've reached a climax of collecting, honestly, because I kind of feel like it's not fun when you buy this stuff and you don't have a place to put it, and it sits on the floor. I don't want to get to that point where this stuff just sits on the floor. So it's really going to be very, very sparingly when I purchase anything with the He-Man logo on. I mean, like if Super 7 put, when they announce that next wave of Collector's Choice, I probably will get that. But other than that, I saw Thundercat Loyal Subjects for $5 at Walmart here, and I just
did you?
Yeah, and I'm like, I just don't want to buy a bunch of little figurines and stuff like that. I'd rather just buy the stuff behind me here, and if it's not that, then I'm pretty much.
Are those blind? Are they blind boxed or are they window boxed? Because I honestly have never seen them in person.
This was like a batch that has been sitting there for a while that just never got bought a whole lot of. So
Okay.
I came close. I picked up a box and kind of like, I was like, nah, I don't know.
I'll admit, if I was able to get a Lion-O and a Mumra, I think that'd be cool because I've seen those and they do look
I have
cool.
a Mumra and I got a Panthro, but I don't know. I just get kind of, I just don't have that excitement to buy the little things, the little figurines, and I know people like it. I just
Hell, sometimes it's like you said, if it's a combination of not having much space, and if you were to buy what you want and you have a limited amount of space, I guess you're going to really focus on a certain thing. But I admit, just like you, hell, if we had a ton of room, hell yeah, I'd love to be picking all this stuff.
Well, and
it's
plus,
that would be.
like Joe has got all his 2000X stuff. All my stuff's boxed up. All my stactions are boxed up. I've still got an entire attic space of storage of He-Man stuff boxed up. So, I just kind of feel like, you know what? I'm getting to that point where like, enough's enough, really. Like I got the podcast, and I like to buy art from Kevin and Axel, and I'm running out of room for that. So it's
you know what?
Not.
I think
Go ahead.
the one thing I was going to say, didn't mean to cut you off, but I admit a surprise of something. First, also I want to say, Sportimus, thank you for joining us, and I'm sorry I missed you there. It's just my eyes go quick. But the thing is, I wish there could be that time like the old days where I don't know everything that's coming. Because sometimes just the thought of, like, let's say I knew nothing of these mega constructs with the figures or the Wind Raider or any of that stuff, and hopefully my picture comes back on. I see I went to just an avatar picture. But no, if I was to walk right into a store and see the Masters of the Universe logo on something, that'd be pretty damn cool, because I think it was our buddy Wiley Walt. I think, and I hope I'm right when I'm saying this, on Facebook, he posted some of his finds. And the one thing he found is something, again, I never heard of, but it doesn't have nothing to do with Masters, but it still does in some sense. The Primal Age figures that we always talk about from Funko, that, with that 5.5-inch style, the DC Primal Age. Well, I swear he said he found those, that they're now available at Target, but that's not where it's, real quick, that's not where it stops. He then showed a picture of a cool ass shirt of the Primal Age like figures, but drawn like how they were on the box art, which is cool. But that's not where it stopped. This next thing just shocked the hell out of me. It's like, Funko, I don't know where you're coming from with all this stuff, but you feel like you have time warped the 80s to now with their line. They also have, Tyler, metal lunchboxes, DC Primal Age on both sides, and they have it like this. It's my He-Man one, but it's 3D raised. It's metal. It's not just a plastic one like here is a gimmick. They did their DC Primal Age with that, with some cool art. I'm like, who are you guys? How are you doing all this cool stuff? It's like, it gets me angry, the thought of, damn, if we're getting all this DC Primal Age and the stuff is based off of, basically inspired by He-Man style figures, and us adult fans are eating it up, I would just love if I walked in a store and randomly, bam, there was like 5.5-inch Lizard Man, Icer, Melaktha, just random figures of He-Man stuff in cool new boxes. I mean, could you even picture that? I don't get it.
That's Mattel. That's Mattel, and whatever is holding Super 7 back from pushing. I mean, it's hard to say what's going on behind the scenes with all that stuff too. I mean, but I would also kind of feel like too. I mean, the He-Man construct figures still. I mean, some of them still sit on the pegs. It's not like they. I mean, they sell better than like the Star Trek stuff and stuff like that. But at least in our area. But
yeah.
I mean, part of me, and this is strictly based on what me and Nathan see in our area. I mean, we have a piss poor area when it comes. I mean, there are collectors and scalpers in our area. They are, because stuff gets picked up pretty quickly. But I mean, yes, I would love nothing more than to see it back on the shelves. But I just part of me has like a little bit of lack of faith in the grand scheme of things of fans showing that much support. Because vintage figures, I think, it's really just going to be catered to us. It's going to be hard to talk 5-year-old boys. I mean, not to say it's impossible, but I just kind of feel like when you see some stuff sitting on pegs, that, I just, part of me kind of feels like it would suffer, and that's why, like, it's probably better off that it's sold the way it is right now, because I would hate for this stuff to show up back in stores and it's warming up pegs, or there's certain characters that aren't selling that they screwed the pooch again on and decided to make too much of this and too much of that. And that's what worries me, is that if it did show up, I mean, like the DC Prime stuff, I mean, it's starting to show up in Target. I have yet to see it in Target, but I kind of feel like it needs to be an online thing for right now, because I just don't want to see He-Man collecting dust on the toy shelves in this day and age.
There's no way we'd ever want to see any of our properties do that. And you're right. Basically, half the time it's just they're relying on, obviously, the hardcore collectors like us, people that are older. And it's not saying kids don't get them, because I'm sure kids would like it too. But it seems like I myself, especially even when Toys R Us was around, it seemed like I'd see less and less kids in the toy aisles getting the figures, and more adults, pick up anything Marvel related. And like you said, DC, or if there was something pertaining to He-Man, looking for a pop thing, one of those little vinyl things. But it's like, it's usually us doing it. And this DC Primal Age, I mean, I'm in a lot of the vintage He-Man groups, and they're just going bananas for them, because they do look beautiful. And you've seen them, like when I showed the ones that our buddy Michael got, it's like, damn, these things are cool. But I think they got to know that the main target audience it will be the adults. You'd like to get the kids, but I think I have also seen within my family, and I'm not saying it's all families, but, things have got a little more technology based, meaning, yes, there's young kids that'll play with some of the figures, but some, if they don't have hardcore like fathers or uncles like us that try to get the kids into it, they're usually like right past those action figures, and as soon as they can, it's right to their tablets, their iPods, their video games, everything. And it's like toys are a second thought. It's like, I don't care. But it's like us, we're the ones that are rabid about it. And I don't know if that's a big nostalgic thing, like we're having, gripping onto pieces of our childhood, like, damn, that's cool, and I liked it, and I'd love to display it. But I mean, it's just a thought for me. And again, I'm sure people in the chat room, I'd love to hear what they'd have to say, but I don't see as many kids getting hyped. Now, people like Dan Rice and his kids, they're all nuts for it. They're collecting any types of figures. They're doing drawings of it. They're using their imaginations, which I love. And I'd wish we could see more. But yeah, you're right. If He-Man was to pop up in the stores, it's us that's going to be collecting, or the hopes of kids doing it from, their parents. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I don't like saying that, but I'm just basing on when you see a lot of the adult collector stuff in the stores. Even there's some, like, I have seen so much discounted DC Universe and some like Star Wars, like Black Series and stuff, of characters, of figures. I mean, yes, they're based on some movies and stuff like that, but they're cluttering the shelves. Those are adult collectibles, and that's DC. I mean, and it's one example. It doesn't justify everything, but I feel like, for right now, He-Man needs to stick to where it can be safe, and online sales seems to be the safest thing for He-Man right now, until something comes along that doesn't piss all over it, like a Netflix She-Ra based show probably would do. Which I'm glad to see that it's not catching the world on fire, because you don't see people, popping up all over the place referencing that show and stuff like that, like they do with hits on Netflix. So I think it's safe to say it wasn't the hit they were expecting. I'm sure it did okay, probably, but I just feel like it's I kind of is part of me also feels like He-Man still has not been given the fair treatment the property deserves completely. Even with 2000X, like, Val told us, that Mattel thrown out a lot of money with that, but you had so many people making mistakes, from Cartoon Network to Mattel. I kind of feel like, I know it's not just because it was the 80s, but I feel like the 80s, Mattel's push with He-Man, like they were really pulling out all the stops, like, and that's part of the gamble, because it could have flopped, like with anything else that that toy companies released. Like He-Man could have been a big flop, but they made a big push for it in the beginning.
Yeah, and they did, and look at what it became back then. It was one of the top brands at its time, and for toy sales and everything, which led to so much merchandise. And really quick, Battle Armor He-Man, thank you for joining us. Look, we got an action figure that joined us, Tyler.
Well, I'll be damned.
I'll be damned. But I'll admit, man, could you just picture if you did randomly walk into a Target and you seen a brand new merchandise lunchbox for He-Man with some new art with that 3D raised stuff like back in the old days? Man, I think that would have you jumping. I mean, if this DC Primal Age one did it for fans, I can only imagine what a He-Man would do.
Well, see, that's part of the problem is that, I look, I want this stuff to be more successful than anybody, but I also look at, the popularity of He-Man just feels like it's dwindled so much. Me and Joe and I talked about this in private and with other people as well, and that's what makes me worry is to see any of this stuff in a Target or a Walmart on a much larger scale without something really helping to push it. But if that's the case, they would probably dumb it down because they feel like kids don't want anything that's got charisma and gives them goosebumps. So you got to make it all programmed for meat with eyes essentially. I guess just because I don't want to see this stuff suffer in stores. I don't want to see it end up in the discount bin and still sit there. And even though we've all got our lunchbox, we've all got our, that's what I worry about. I worry so much because I don't want to see it suffer. And then everybody looks at the bottom line. Well, I guess nobody liked it because no one's really going to admit the mistakes that were made. I don't know. Am I pissing all over your hush puppies here, Joe?
No. It's like you said. You're like everybody. We want it to succeed, and yes, it would be scary if it would pop up in the stores and fail, because that's why they've said so many times the only way they'd really ever want to have a big push of putting back into the stores is if it had a cartoon or if it had a movie or something that, yes, could not only keep us here, buying the stuff, which we're going to pretty much regardless when it's cool, but getting in the new fans.
That is to be argued, though, because I mean, look, I think it's all by this point. We're not going back. We're not rehashing old stuff. But I think it's safe to say the new She-Ra cartoon was not as well received by the He-Man fan community, and I think it was almost like a landslide. Yes, you have people who did like it. No one seemed too interested in getting the Super 7 toys that came out, and whatever is coming from Mattel, which at this point I don't know when they're coming out, if they're coming out, and by the time they do come out,
I don't know if. Yeah, maybe next month they'd see. I mean, I guess the point I was making for like new figures is, how this nostalgia kick of Funko that I was talking about, it would be great if that nostalgia kick in Super 7 would put out, like I said earlier, Icer, Plundor, Batros, characters we never had in vintage form, and others like Melaktha, and characters that just haven't been in figure form, period. That would be great to see them back in the stores. But even though the new cartoon or movie they'd make probably would not even focus or have any of the characters I just mentioned, but it would bring back at least the fans of knowing, like, oh my God, He-Man's back. They're hearing about a movie or there's a cartoon. Then they're like, oh, here's some newer figures. And also, there's some new characters from the cartoon that I remember. It would just, for me, in a perfect world, sure, it'd be great. But
an absolute perfect world. But I also look at how many people would be pissed on, who the hell's this? Who the hell's that? And that's what worries me, because all we're getting, I mean, as we know, all we seem to be getting is just variants of He-Man Skeletor over and over and over and over again. And I mean, the odds of actually seeing like a Melaktha, an Icer, a Plundor, a Fangman, or a Batros in stores and like that, it's like we can't get it online like through Super 7. So how the hell would we ever get it?
And it brings a good point. No, really quick, didn't mean to cut you up, but what you brought up right there, saying characters that a lot of people might think, who is this? Now, you'd figure a lot of people that watch the cartoons, they at least remember, but a lot of people, as it basically led to something I did on my wall, because again, as you know, there's groups that focus just on the cartoon. Some love just the new figures, and some love vintage toys or even the vintage mini comics. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put a poll on just my wall to where I think it's going to be grabbing from everybody on my friends list that are part of multiple groups. So I don't cater to just one group that I know exactly what everybody will say. And mine was those 6 reveals they showed last week. Like I said, in order from your least favorite, from your favorite to least favorite, rank these characters. Now, the majority of fans, obviously, they know what some Shadow Weaver is. Even if you didn't really watch the cartoon that much, people still, one way or another, will know Shadow Weaver. She was pretty much the top on average of everybody's top want of the list. But then when it came to the bottom, it was Katrina. And now you would hear it. Sure, I love Katrina, looks great. And fans been wanting her, but it's just, like I said, there's selections of different groups of fans, because on the average of all the fans that voted on my wall, I got these comments like, who's the cat lady? Is she from Thundercats? I'm like, my God, people, they really don't know her, but I can't do that. I can't say, you should know Filmation, because I know everybody doesn't. So just like you were saying that Plundor and Icer and characters we'd want in vintage form, there will be the fans that'll wonder, who the hell are these guys? And that unfortunately happened to Katrina. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I thought she was going to be higher. It's like,
well,
she was
because I mean,
almost last night. It's weird.
Joe and I for years have seen so many people bitching and complaining. What I don't understand why haven't we got Katrina? Why? I mean, we're talking about when Mattel was still handling the collector's line. Like, yes, that was a regular name that was popping up. That was popping up on the polls on He-Man.org. She was one of the top ones. I honestly, for years, I couldn't figure out why the hell do people want this character so much. Because I wanted Melaktha, I wanted Icer before we got him, and various other characters. Like Katrina was in one episode. The episode is good. I'm not saying she's not the greatest thing in the world by far, but she's not a bad character by any means either. And I was glad to see her find it made in the figure form.
But she looks great. It's a great looking figure. Yeah,
she does, and I'm glad to see it. And for people who are all that griping and complaining, and so I ain't subbing up so they could make me feel like I can't get my Clan Champion Squeeze and Soul Rod and Blade figures because the rest of you decide, well, I ain't subbing up. They didn't give me Katrina. But I just, it really makes me wonder, like, how it really feels like the fandom end, because what you got does not match what others have picked up and what I've seen over the years. So it's just like, are you strictly dealing with a demographic of newer to the universe? Like they only know the basics of He-Man. They don't know. And honestly, look, if you like this property, you like He-Man, you like Thundercats, you like G.I. Joe, you like Star Wars, Transformers, whatever. And I ask this to anybody who's listening to this, whether you're live in the chat room or you listen to this, 10 months from now, when you decide you want to cling to a property, do you just limit yourself to like the bare minimum of characters? That even though you like Transformers, do you just say, I just like Megatron and Optimus Prime, like Starscream, Soundwave, Cup, Hot Rod, or Galvatron, or Cyclonus, or Thundercats? Is it just, does everybody? And if you don't, then why? Why do you not limit yourself? Because do you get that there's a vast array of mythology of heroes and villains? Are you just a heavy collector? You got to have everything. And if you do, why do you limit yourself? Why not explore this property that has obviously grabbed your attention? You like the two flagship characters, but why do you feel like learning more and seeing all these other characters has no interest to you? G.I. Joe's another one. Like that collector's line has been putting out characters that are getting more and more obscure over the years. I've looked at who's come out. I'm like, this is great. They've actually released him. They've done her. This is great. I can't collect it because you have to sign up for it in advance and stuff like that. But I just don't understand the mentality, especially that you mentioned. Well, but when you said that there are some that just collect the toys.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I went to some of those groups. Like when I went to the ones that were just for toys, and I mean just for classics, even they were putting her at the bottom. And it baffled my mind. I was like, okay, I can understand in the vintage forums where I go to, they usually don't flip over the Filmation cartoon period most of the time. But this one group I went to that focuses on the classics toys put her last. And it's not because she wasn't extra detailed to be in the collector's choice. It's just some people said, oh, I know, I definitely want Shadow Weaver. She looks awesome. I want Modulok. And then they'd say Roboto. And then they said Stratos, which, Stratos. And then Prince Adam. But then poor Katrina got it last. And I was like excited thinking, if I had the money still at the time, I'd be going nuts for it. Because remember, I told you what my top three are. It's Modulok, Shadow Weaver, and Katrina. Those are actually my top three out of those six that I want. But it was different. It's always interesting to see the whole different demographic. And that's why I'm going to do one specifically on my wall as well. I put it in a couple of groups. It was like, I want this one on my wall to see how many. And I was just baffled at the amount of people that put Katrina at the bottom. I was guaranteed thought she would be at least in most people's top three. It just shocked me. So like you said, if it would return to the store, unfortunately, characters like Melaktha, which we'll be discussing here soon, and I'll talk about something on him too, I would love them, but I'd wonder, will there be people thinking, who's Melaktha? I don't know. That's why I thought it'd be good to discuss these characters.
Well, and that's what worries me, and maybe that's why Super 7 is doing what they're doing. They're just constantly releasing the basic of basic characters over and over again because, they know people know them. Almost everybody will know. Yeah. But I just kind of feel like if they know by this point, they're taking the reins over a property that has been releasing, so many a wide array of heroes and villains, male and female, human, not human, that are clearly not the basics. They're not your Trapjaws and your Beastman and your He-Man and your Man-at-Arms. That we're talking, getting to the very casual fan obscure. But does that have to stop? And if it does, why? And if it does, like, okay, where is that info coming from? How is that decision made that, what, we're going to start, and, for whatever reason, you guys told me last week, and I saw too, that the reveals of the next Collector's Choice line will be revealed next month.
Yeah.
But yeah. I do wonder, Filmation's been pumped out. Like, we got the wave of She-Ra, Fisto, Mantan, and Grizzler not too long ago. Now this next wave of Filmation has already popped. So they're churning up the Filmation stuff pretty quick. And I just, it's kind of hard for me to figure out how they're making those decisions. That, I'm not happy about how much they're asking for. I don't like the idea of doing 6 because it just costs that much more. But I'm like, how is the decision made that we need more Filmation variants of like the basic characters and not give us a Melaktha, or give us a Negator, or give us a Kothos, or another, demand, or relatively high. I mean, because I think by this point we've got Chakotay, we've got Mask, we got Granomir, we got Lizard Man, a lot of the very popular Filmation based characters we have gotten. So, at what point does Super 7 or Mattel or whoever's running the show decide, what, we're going to stop going further with obscurity and just keep going back to the well of the basic characters? Because, how do you decide that? How do you decide, we're not going to do that, but then at what point do you realize we keep releasing the same characters over and over again?
And it's got to be tough when doing both the lines, because as we know, in Collector's Choice, I'm sure when they're shown, that's probably going to be the most new characters, if you will, being released that we've never seen before. Because, Filmation, this line, I think this Club Grayskull, I think we've come to pretty much understand the majority of those will be characters we've had before, but now in Filmation style. But when you get a character like Katrina, there's been a lot of people that would say, I wish she was in Collector's Choice. I would have liked a more detailed version. But it makes you wonder.
I was supposed to get more detail, because I thought that was the whole purpose of putting him in that. But as great as he is, he doesn't have as much detail as I thought he would.
No, and I know what you mean. The thing is, it makes you wonder, was Katrina possibly planned for Collector's Choice? And maybe were they thinking the extra detailer? But then let's say next month they show 6 completely new ones. They said, you know what? We really need to get them out. We still want to get Katrina, so maybe we should put her in Club Grayskull, which some fans happy, some are upset because they want a more stylized. They were feeling, at least from what I read, a lot of fans were like, Filmation should just be the characters we've had in the cartoon before, but now Filmation versions. But God, could you imagine releasing every single Classics character again, but in Filmation? And some people want that. Again, if they want it, cool. Because I'll admit, if I had the money, I would be just like everybody else buying everything. But it's cool always seeing the opinions from in the chat room and plus all over the internet. There's a lot of different opinions, and I mean, like I said, I can respect them. People usually keep it pretty civil too. I've noticed, which is another good thing, I haven't seen as much as the anger that sometimes used to exist, as when we'd see it in the fan community, when people were ripping each other's throats about these figures. I think people are a little more calm and cool. Like, sure, there's disagreements once in a while, but I haven't seen the hate as much in anger. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen that, which that's
probably because you know what? Yeah, by this point, when Mattel did their last wave, where they completed the vintage line, probably got a lot of people to shut up, because by that point they don't know who the hell the rest of the roster of characters were by that point. So who the hell they're going to argue about? Because I don't know who that is. I don't care. But then again, too, I do my best. I keep myself far removed from if I know about any of this stuff, it's because Joe tells me. I don't check out a lot of the discussions or fighting that's going on or disagreements. I just honestly, I've always just kind of kept to myself for the most part. Even before social media, when I go to He-Man.org, I would check a couple things, but I would never participate. Because I just keep to myself about a lot of this stuff.
But February should be hopefully a good month of what's to come. I don't know. I'm hoping somebody in the chat room will tell me that Toy Fair date, because I'm not sure on it. And Renee Chavez, thank you for joining us. If somebody can pop that up I'd appreciate it, because I know they announced PowerCon at least in August. Is it August 18th and 19th in what part of California?
Anaheim.
Thank you. Okay, Anaheim. So a lot of people were geeked on that because didn't they say it was like close to Disney World or Disneyland or something?
I have no idea, but Val has it right at the tail end of August, when I had the worst possible time of ever trying to even make it out that way. So I'm like, well, Val's just doing whatever he can to make it impossible for me to show up, and then bust my balls when I can't show up.
Oh, so you're not sure if you'll be able to make it this year? Then
again, like that's one of the biggest reasons I couldn't make it is because that is the prime time for my job. I'm the only person who handles my position. Nobody else does it. And the convention is at the exact same time this year.
I was like, God, you can't reschedule the entire event around my working schedule? How dare you not
I suggested was if you had it earlier in the summer, I don't care when, May, June, July, there's 3 months. Hell, even the beginning of August. No, we're going to go with the tail end of August there, Tyler. And if you can't make it, I guess you're just not a true fan there, guy. Because I'm sure that's what I'm going to hear. And he's like, you got a whole year in advance. I don't want to hear you can't make it. I'm like, you did it again, didn't you, Val? You put it at the exact same damn date that you did this past year.
That's great. But, well, that's at least the recent kind of news on that. And quickly, yes, they said, hey, He-Man movie's in the works again. Yeah, I will keep updating my little meme picture. It'll be 17 years now when I update it soon. If it happens, great. I want to see, like I said, green light. I want to see some actually production stuff going on. Until then, I can't get geeked. It's definitely the beginning of the year post, but then we usually get it at least 4 or 5 different times throughout the year with another director, a producer, a story, a studio. So yeah, it'd be great. But I have a feeling it might not make that December date this year. Like we been hearing for what was it 3 years we've been hearing that date now, Tyler, or 2? It feels like it's 2 or 3 years.
No, I know. I mean, the last it was supposed to be in this. Was it next? Yeah, it ain't happening, people. Plus,
yeah.
By the way, when people are letting you and I know about that, are they wanting us because they think we actually care? Are they trying to get a rise out of us? Or they think that they're giving us breaking news? Because I feel like by this point, if you listen to this podcast, people ought to know by now we don't care because it ain't happening.
Well, so, I mean, I genuinely see people on Facebook who might not listen to the podcast itself or really know that we've discussed this before.
As powerful as your presence is on social media, why the hell has you not encouraged your cult to check out your regular scheduled YouTube program that you have every week? What I don't understand, Joe. Why haven't your followers followed you here?
I was going to say, should I give my best Jeff Spicoli impersonation from Fast Times at Ridgemont High when Mr. Hand asked him a question similar and Spicoli said, oh, no. No, it's because really, I don't know. I just don't know. But
I've never heard somebody embody Sean Penn the way that you just did right there.
Oh,
how did you do it, Joe? You give Nathan
a
run for his money for his Vince McMahon impression. I mean, I've never seen such lazy Italian effort put into that impression there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, like you call that lackluster. But that's all that stuff. And I wanted to thank somebody out there. I wanted to thank Will Edwards because we're going to talk about Melaktha now. But before we did, I was like, man, I sat there and I was searching on the internet, Joe Amato Customs Melaktha. Nothing came up, and it drove me insane. I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't understand why it's not coming up. I said, if anybody can help me, please find this Melaktha figure that I did years ago. And I showed, I think, just a little picture from him on one of my card backs. I said, I can't find it. And Will Edwards simply just put He-Man Melaktha Custom. I was like, why the hell did that not pop in my head? I'm sitting there putting Joe Amato Custom Melaktha. Nothing came up. He-Man Melaktha, bam, it came up and it showed my custom.
How many times are you using your name, though?
Every single time.
Of course, because you are the egomaniacal thief that you are. Think that anything that you put in the Google machine with He-Man has got to have your name attached to it.
Well, here's the bizarre thing. Usually when I search a particular custom of mine, or what did I say, mine, I'm inventing words. If I say Joe Amato Custom whatever, it brings that up. Then after I got the pictures and seen it all, I said, I just remembered. Melaktha was one of the first carded customs I did almost 8 years ago when I first started, 8-9 years ago. And I didn't put Joe Amato Custom Creation logo and never promoted it that way. I have this little icon. It looks like the Mattel logo. But instead of saying Mattel in it, has SOTU. And I made that up because in my ego, maniacal mind, or whatever you're saying, I actually called myself at one time the Sculptomizer of the Universe. So I put SOTU, and I didn't like that. After I was like, I can't use this no more. And so that's why I couldn't find the search, because it used to be under a whole different thing. It's like, man, that's been a long time that I went by SOTU instead of Joe Amato Customs.
And you and Nathan have the gall to give me grief because I have deemed myself the son of He-Man in these wall of living pictures, and you, back then, were deeming yourself the sculptor of the universe, essentially.
I guess I learned from, I was like, what a ego trip I must have had, her thinking, hey, I'm so great, I'm going to do that. And I got rid of it quickly, though. That lasted maybe a year, and then it just went to Joe Amato.
A year. Well, apparently you didn't let it go that fast.
Right, I guess not. But there was quite a few things like I did.
Like, did you introduce yourself? Hello, I'm the sculptor that's formerly known as Joe Amato. Did you when you hit on the cashier at McDonald's, did you introduce yourself as such? Like, no, you refer to me as sculptor or the sculptor.
And that was it. I rarely posted in a lot of places of my my customs when I first did it, but I carded a lot of early things. Like I did a Shakoti, an Evil Seed, Melaktha. It's like all the characters I was talking about I'd love to see in figure form now, vintage style. I guess that's it. I wanted to make them, but Melaktha, we might as well start talking about him now. But that's a character I just loved him from the cartoon. I think, what was it, like 6 episodes he was in, maybe, or I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know he had quite a few episodes. It's not like he was a one-off character.
No. I will say, like, House Shakoti is by far the best. Cat and the Spider's fine too. But like for Ancient Mare of Avatar, that was okay. Bird in the Hand, and that's 1, 2, 3. That's 5 episodes. Yeah. I think it's 5. If I could look it up.
Oh, Battle Cat. Battle Cat. Wasn't he in Battle Cat?
Yeah. Wait. Wow. Damn it. Now you got me, because otherwise I'm going to be bombarded by people trying to correct me here.
Well, the reason I think it was I'm trying to remember, but I thought in Battle Cat, like it was when they were talking about the past. Something came up, but I know for some reason I was for sure he was in Battle Cat. I thought it was almost. Damn it!
Hang on, I know I'll look it up real quick, because those are the ones that came to mind immediately. So let me just verify this before Deucin holds a knife to my throat.
Yeah, he's going to be like, Tyler, you just lost a couple Filmation points by not knowing this off the top of your head.
Well, you know what? I will gladly enter a steel cage match with the Reverend E-Talk and Grumbot himself there for the Filmation title there. But and you know what? I may be the first guy eliminated, but I will not leave without landing some good punches in that match. I tell you, my presence will be felt in that steel cage match. Hang on here.
Good fight.
Yeah, Battle Cat.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So, it's like, again, there's a lot of characters they wanted from the cartoon, and some of these characters that we've already got in classic form, some of them had just these one-off appearances. From Plundor, Evil Seed, a lot of these one-offs, but you're having a Joe Amato moment with your camera going insane. Hopefully it doesn't fall and you start cussing.
God damn it. Hang on here.
It is. Wow, this is usually my routine. Thanks, Nathan, again.
Well, this is what happens when you're trying to maintain your persona on a podcast like this. You will try to protect your integrity and your dignity and trying to verify the facts, because there's nothing worse than listening to a podcast and some guy's spouting off stuff and you're listening to it and you're like, this guy doesn't know jack shit. Like, everything he's saying is wrong, and he's not even trying to verify his facts. He's just saying it and deeming it as so. I never want to be that guy on this podcast, because I take my information about He-Man and various other things very seriously. So if I goof something, I want to apologize for it, but I also want to correct myself. And if I'm not sure at the moment, I want to say I'm unsure, because I know don't ever want to be seen as one of the gas bags that are on an assortment of pop culture podcasts where just some guy just I'm on a podcast here. I know all kinds of stuff. No, you don't. A quick Google search could verify that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is coming from Tyler, who listens to so many of those wrestling podcasts and a lot of pop culture stuff. So I know he goes pretty insane with those.
But the ones I do listen to, for the most part, like the Bruce Pritchard podcast, this comes from the horse's mouth. Tell them C-Day, they just kind of gas back, but they're hilarious. If I listen to something that's movie related or something that's similar to what we do, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, they're not getting this stuff right. Or their opinions come off as very narrow minded, or they don't really sound like they're really thinking about what they're saying. Like that kind of stuff drives me nuts. When I don't know, especially when it comes to this stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like in this day and age, if you're going to do some podcast and something like this, research. It's all for free. You could do it on your phone while you're taking a dump. There should be no reason why you should not come on a podcast and have plenty of facts to back up. Whatever. So I just kind of, I take this podcast with a lot of pride. So.
Well, I definitely admit, I mean, I flub a lot, and I'm not somebody that definitely would know every single detail. But when it comes to anything I do want to discuss for podcasts, it would be relating to Masters of the Universe or Friday the 13th. And shut up, Zentron, if you're going to jump in about a quote.
One of those is definitely in the question.
Shut up and don't bring about these damn quotes, because I know that's what's going to happen.
I ain't talking about the quotes, but you certainly sound like someone who's just like watched them once on VHS.
Shut up.
I collect the toys, and that makes me a hardcore fan.
No, I know Friday the 13th, just not some of the quotes it happens at times. So, but anyways, we could get back into Melaktha, because yes, this is a character from when I seen on the cartoon. I was praying and hoping we'd eventually get a figure. Of course, we never did. That is why he was one of my first figures I made. But I just found it was a unique, refreshing, different character from the cartoon, being the archaeologist. Was it royal archaeologist? I can't remember how they
royal archaeologist.
Yeah, to think about somebody who's trying to preserve not only the history of this planet, but also trying to discover other things. Somebody that if you're going to go to a location, he might have at least read up, knowing about whether it was a tomb, whether it was a catacomb, a house, just some kind of structure, or even a civilization. You got to know somebody that can decipher the languages, know stuff that when they're in that situation, what would we have to do? And for those who might have thought, well, he didn't do a lot. I mean, yeah, he did plenty, and plus,
well, you know what? Katrina didn't do a whole hell of a lot either. All right,
and that's what I was going to get to.
Put that out right now.
A lot of these one-off characters we got in figure form, you got to think about them. Some of them just had one episode, some didn't do tons. But Melaktha, he was somebody there in 6 episodes, and also somebody that I know a lot of people also say they think he's real grumpy and cranky and always mean and like just angry.
I was basing that on the Ancient Mirror of Avatar episode,
and that's what I'm thinking is. Right, I was like, is it that one episode? Because you can't say about how what he did with Stanlin, because he's telling Stanlin basically, get things done. You got to. He's trying to give him some structure, almost like a father.
And
figure.
Also
it's
keep
like what's
safe too. It's
keep
like
we're
safe, going into an unexplored pyramid. I can't let you just wander around in there. Like, no, we can explore it first.
Exactly, and know things or do chores or just have structure in his life before doing these things and before jumping into the frying pan, and not being ready for what could happen. So. Just telling somebody things to do, just like even Adam said, my father gets on me on that kind of stuff too. It's like, yes, so that's how I looked at kind of from some degree the Melaktha Stanlin thing was almost like a father-son. Of course, others would say when Melaktha thought Stanlin joined Skeletor, it's like, I knew it all along. So some might say, well, that could kind of get into what you just said there, Joe. But he is at least giving him a parenting kind of, some structured guidance. Basically, I said it a bunch, but that still, for me, he was never a grumpy, cranky, or just tiresome character. He's somebody that's vastly needed.
Oh, and I felt the same because when I think of the Ancient Mirror of Avatar, when he's been kind of a disgruntled grump, kind of towards Mossman, and when I saw that, I'm like, this feels so out of character. Like I kind of felt like the character was not written how I felt like, or how I always envisioned him, because up to that point,
episode, a question for you, because that kind of shocked me too, especially the way he was in the other episodes. He was never like that. He's just, trying to guide and figure things out. But with the thing with Mossman, he really did talk down to him a lot. And I was like, this feels awkward. So what kind of order, either you or Grimbot, what episode would that have been in Melaktha's appearances?
I think that was the last appearance, I believe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I mean, I can double check, but then I have to rearrange my setup there, I guess. But yeah, I'm pretty certain Ancient Mirror of Avatar was coming towards the latter end of the episodes, and yeah, I all I had seen up to that point prior to getting that bootleg set was just House of Chakotay, and it had been years since I'd seen it. So when I got to revisit on VHS, that's how I always saw Melaktha, and even that was the only episodes I had seen prior to getting that bootleg set, which was 11th grade, and I saw that House of Chakotay, I think when I was like 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old. That character had resonated with me ever since that time, and I didn't look at it as, hey, it's a black character. I just saw, I like this character. I like this archaeologist character. Like because as a child you're not looking at it from a race perspective. I just saw is that I like this character. I think he's a cool addition. I like the idea of him and Prince Adam working together, and him and He-Man working together. I thought he was a wonderful addition to the mythology. I think he's an important part. And yes, to piggyback on what Joe said, this is a character that has been used in 6 episodes. Strong Arm, Fang Man, Jitsu, Lizard Man, Icer, Chakotay, Mask, Katrina, Huntara, all these heavy
Plundor.
Yeah, Plundor. I'm like, come on. I think it was, it's been done to death. But I kind of feel like I don't think many fans have a legitimate case to argue, other than the simple fact that they have just not taken time to acquaint themselves with that character. And hell, I think vast majority of traditional Filmation / He-Man fans, when I say that, I meant like toys and the cartoon. Everybody knows Chakotay and Mask. Well, you don't know those characters without knowing Melaktha, because you haven't watched it without seeing Melaktha. So that's why I've never understood, because the name has popped up over the years when polls have been taken, and I have seen people say, "What the hell do we need Melaktha for?" And I just like, you don't get it, do you? Like, just because he's not Fisto or Clamp Champ, but you still want Queen Marlena. She's the queen. She's not she's not a warrior, at least not in the sense that of the characters on your shelf. And I never have understood that, because I've always liked the character a tremendous amount. I just
and especially, going to the respect of like using imaginations when you're a kid and stuff. Like, again, if they made a Queen Marlena, hell yeah, it still would. I definitely would have been excited, and I would have put her like next to King Randor to like yeah, exactly. But when you think about somebody like Melaktha, where they think maybe, oh, he wouldn't have been that great as a figure. Think of all the accessories and artifacts and interesting things, even if they, any of the things that he's found within the cartoon. A lot of different maps. When you were a kid, and I remember with Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, I would have like some of the characters like sneak around. I remember Mechaneck. I used to like have his neck go up like he was looking out to see if there was trouble. And I could envision if he would have been released when I was a kid, I could picture him, telling everybody where to go. Let's do this. Watch out for traps, and using flashlights to act like he's going into somewhere, or some weird kind of thing that makes a light. But he would have been fun to explore with, being that kind of explorer into the, the canon.
He's kind of like your Indiana Jones. He's your Indiana Jones of the He-Man mythology.
Yes. And it's funny. Somebody earlier, I couldn't remember, it was real early in the
round.
Yes, somebody did mention that Indiana Jones. Oh, Megator, thank you for joining us as well. But it's just, especially for the imaginations. But now, even as we like getting any character basically that pops up, we like displaying them in our collection. And can honestly anybody think that, oh, Melaktha, I wouldn't want him in my collection. He wouldn't be fun display. I think he'd look great. He'd fit in great with everybody else.
Yeah, and it's the vast majority of the arguments you've seen are just people saying they don't know who he is, or they just think he's lame. Like, what is it that you've seen that
the people? Well, from the people that would mention it, they said he's a boring character, he's a cranky character, and he looks bland. Those were the 3 things I got from people. But I'm like, it's for me, it's pretty much far and few in between, or whatever the hell the saying is. I don't see many people, when it comes to the masses, really saying that, because that's why I wanted so badly to find my figures, post it on my wall, and see what people think. I don't think anybody badmouthed that figure on my wall, and don't think just because it's on my wall they wouldn't. I've posted a lot of things where people say, "Joe, this sucks. I didn't like that person. I didn't like this guy." They've never said that about Melaktha. I think he would just, well, how about that for a twist? Could you imagine if they showed next month in the collector's choice a cool stylized Melaktha? Then I might have to get aboard of trying to get some kind of money, because I'd need that figure badly.
Well, yeah, and then, I'd say that Brian Flynn must have heard that I was really pissed off on that episode that they released the Filmation. We got to make this up to Tyler. Get that Melaktha in that collector's choice line, and we'll win him back, and you will. Because I feel like that character needs to be made. I mean, I still feel like there's. I mean, I'm not denying, like, Azrog and Spydra, having them made, that's pretty obscure because nobody ever talks about that episode. It's not referenced. It's not brought up. I get it. That is something, that's an episode I hold near and dear to my heart. Thankfully, Joe has allowed me to do commentary on this episode. But
I allowed you.
Without, I've got some Yugoslavian pamphlets we got to hand out here this month, and that where they have like Beastman with pink fur and He-Man with blue skin. I think it's worth talking about. No, it's a color error. That's all there is to it.
Tyler loves when I pull out my international pieces and art and stories. He's like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah,
but I love it. I'm fascinated with it.
You won't believe this. Triclops has got 4 eyes. I don't know where. It's only a 1 panel though, and it's teal blue. Like, it's a goof. Move on. Imagine like Joe fancies himself like his own Melaktha, going on these archaeological digs, and I'm there to like, Joe, it's fake, And then that's when Joe grabs a hold of his head because he's having one of his headaches,
I sit there and starting to scratch my face, and I'm scratching my mask. It's like I do things that make absolutely no sense.
When you do this and you shake your head, are you scratching yourself? I mean, because I know you're
I'm just holding my head like that's just me holding my head, and I can still do this.
When you do this, when you take your fingertips and you put them on the mask itself, and you go.
No scratching. Just me. It's
I thought that was like you're just like no. I'm just trying to adjust my mask here because I thought it was falling off, guy. Or something like that, But then, so really, you were just lying to me all those times, and like you're just like, oh my god, this guy's like making me feel stupid and saying everything's fake and silly and it's not worth anything, and why do I even do this podcast with this schmuck? Is that what? So what are you trying to say?
Not at all.
Are you lying to me?
Yeah, I would never do that.
Are you going to go on Facebook tomorrow and post a poll? Hey guys, do you like my co-host on Fans of Power podcast?
Oh, stop that.
And then people say, I didn't even know you had a podcast, Joe. When did this podcast start?
Oh my God. But did you any more you wanted to say about Melaktha? He's somebody that, if not only just within fan comics, what people do, but he's a character I wish could have popped up in some kind of comics or anything, especially back then. But now I'd still like to see him if done right, not just to be there in the background that Bam gets killed or some nonsense.
If I was given, look, guys, I want an opportunity to write He-Man legitimately. Like, I want to put myself out there and face possible criticism from the masses of He-Man. Like, I want the opportunity. And by God, I would use Melaktha in a heartbeat. And not in a cameo. I would want him on a caravan journey with He-Man, Cyclone, Clampchamp, Mossman, Lizardman, throwing Melaktha to, I would want, because that's what I wanted. I want to make sure that characters that are used sparingly or weren't used hardly at all are given much more prominent roles. And Melaktha is a character I would love to have the opportunity to, me and Carson talk about all kinds of stuff all the time too. I mean, and he's somebody I definitely would love to give a prominent, party. And I feel like the character, and unfortunately with DC hiring the goofballs that they do to ensure that Two-Bag gets ripped in half by Supergirl, I don't think we're going to see Melaktha anytime soon in any form of publication with the He-Man logo on it. So it's up to fans to ensure he's used in a much more prominent and dignified role worthy of such a great character. That is where I come in. And I would assure you people that if you didn't like him now, you'd love him when I was done with him.
And if they hated him, then there's no hope for Melaktha, I guess.
Well, no, it just means they're a bunch of narrow-minded pricks.
Well, that was horrible. No, yeah.
I'm not taking it back. We're live here, pal.
He's like, wait, yeah, can I do this over? Exactly. You had your Sid moment, like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. But no, he's somebody, well, either way, when I did post that picture, and I got 3 messages now, I have 2 people wanting the vintage and 1 wanting the classic, so you'll be seeing some more.
I knew all this was, his whole suggestion. No. Was to put a little worm in your ears, just like in the Beastmaster. Now you get these mindless monsters, Melaktha custom, beating down your door and everything.
And what does it do? Does it go back to the beginning where you said, Joe, you just always whore yourself out? It's it came back to that
Joe
somehow.
is wearing fishnet stockings, high heel boots, the most offensive, like, cheap perfume you can imagine on the street corner, offering a wonderful time real cheap. But then you get in the car with him, he's like, You don't want any meat. I had like a really cheesy like bean burrito for dinner. You don't want none of this. But what I can give you a tip, like $200 discount on a Melaktha. I only charge you $600 plus shipping.
See? Those are good deals. That's a deal. But no, I promise it wasn't to promote my stuff. It was just, yeah, he's a character I loved. That's when I started searching then for the picture. And I didn't have it. Some people asked me why I didn't have it like on my computer. That used to be on my old computer when everything crashed. I lost a lot of my picture files.
Did you put like the Ultimate Battleground mini comic behind your custom?
Yes, and I also did that as being
a Google search at random by accident this evening.
Oh, and the thing was, I let people know that was a custom front mini comic just because I thought it'd be something just.
Because I saw that, I'm like, I just found this by accident, just doing Melaktha He-Man, and it came up, and like.
Oh, so it was me all along. You found it.
Just to find out that you don't know how to use Google, do you?
Right, it's horrible. That's why if you look closely, you didn't see any of my logos. It was, like I said, pre-Joe Amato Custom Creations logo.
Now, when you Google something for Friday the 13th, do you put your name on that too? Like Friday the 13th Part 8, Joe Amato?
No, I just typed in Friday the 13th Jason Joe Amato Custom, and it usually will bring up, I think, some of the custom Jasons I did. I think. I was like, I might have to test this. And when it doesn't, he's like, see, it didn't do it. But that's what I usually do. I tag my name in it. So he's a character, yes, I'm working on more of now. I wish we could get an official figure. You never know. Someday it could hopefully happen because I would definitely want him, add him to my collection. It's a character I always wanted since I was a kid.
Oh, I mean, just from the Mayor of Avatar to the Grimalkin to, there's so many fun little artifacts you could throw in with that character. And stuff that didn't even, like, in episodes of Black that wasn't even in. I mean, you just having a reason to throw in all these pack-in accessories of artifacts and weapons and just all kinds of fun little stuff. I feel like you could have a lot of fun with that character.
It would be. He would be a fun character, and especially if the kids still played with stuff like that, I could picture their imaginations. Me, though, it would be a display one, but it would be a great one to add to my collection. And also, Kyle Kendall, thank you for joining us, and we'll start in a second discussing Evil Under the Stars story, because that's a great one.
Someone let chomp in the bit for us to hurry the hell along and get to this?
No, it's funny. I'm sitting there talking about all my different logo designs and things, and out of nowhere, Kyle Kendall, who's in the chat room right now, sent me a picture, and I had no idea what he was going to be doing. He created a Joe Amato Custom Creations logo for me, and what he did was he did the design of my mask here. He took the hood like for Skeletor, made it dark like this, and then he put the Joe Amato Customs Creations around it. It made this cool Majo Lock logo stamp in the middle. So I wanted to thank you for that, Kyle, because that was I didn't know he was doing anything like that. It was unexpected out of nowhere, and thanks. It's a pretty cool damn thing. I'll have to share it on my wall for people to see.
I want to see that face, that Joe Amato like Skeletor face, on a logo that says, "Did you say free?" with the question mark, and that Joe Amato face is like beneath the question mark. Like instead of a circle or a period there, you put Joe Amato's face underneath that question mark. I would love to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
What a great T-shirt that would be for like a Fans of Power podcast T-shirt. Like, did you say free or want to buy a custom? I feel like you could find. I mean, man, I tell you, Joe, you are a gold mine of ideas. I would just got to slap your face on there. I mean, we'd be on QVC at 11 o'clock at night doing infomercials, trying to whore out all the merchandise. Jim 18, buy this Joe Amato exclusive mask right now. And if you act now, you get free Joe Amato's sweat embedded in your mask if you act now in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta upgrade this thing here soon. And also, Kyle Kendall said, got to figure out something for you next, Tyler. So Kyle's got some ideas. He might do something for you as well.
Oh boy, I can't even imagine.
But all right, well, that's out the way. We're gonna do the Evil Under the Stars, and then we'll start taking all questions from fans after that, if anything they want to ask us. But Tyler has a character in it that I knew would catch your attention. That's why I've been wanting to do this one. So I'll start it off. Go ahead. Evil Under the Stars newspaper strip story.
It has good and bad in it.
Okay.
Essentially the story is that it breaks down that Evelyn, disguised as a fellow Thenorian, steals the the name of it. I just had it on the tip of my tongue like just a minute ago. The
was that some anti-gravity thing?
Grenade. It's anti-gravitronic grenade, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
From Gwildor, and with that going on as well, Blade is attacking a nearby town and issuing a challenge like, "Look, I demand a worthy opponent to come fight me." And Tila takes some royal guards, and so that's going on. And then Evelyn's robbing Gwildor, this dressed up as a Thenorian, which I like, and I'll get to like the good and bad stuff later on. So you kind of got this like race to stop Evelyn, and then there's a mission that, and I see that's the part I kind of got a little confused with the outer space mission, which is kind of like where I was like, I didn't like that direction. But because of that, Evelyn is trying to thwart this outer space mission to see, that's the thing. Like I kind of feel like I lost my, or didn't quite grasp the whole.
Did you feel like there was a lot of things going on beyond, like you said, trying to get that, and then of course Blade trying to go back to his home world to rule his home world of that he's a pirate. See, that's the thing that I thought. I was like, oh, he's got an eye patch, and they wanted to make him a pirate. Sorod looked very different as well.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a strange look. Beastman, I kind of thought, oh, it's cool. They're trying, I think, to do a combination of trying to get that movie vibe, but it is a different story. And also, I remember I was kind of giddy at the beginning when Gwildor met Thalia, because I thought, Thalia, oh, this is cool. There's a whole, like you said, Thenorian. It's a new person of his race. It's a female. And then when I found out it was Evelyn, I was like, damn. Because I was like, of course, I thought that'd be a cool ass figure to have a Gwildor.
Of course you did. Trying to make money.
Yeah, but no, not for me. But that twist with Evelyn, I always love it because it gets you every time. She did it in the '87 movie. She done it in plenty of episodes.
And that kind of makes you think like she tricked Gwildor. That had been something that she pretended to do. Like, how did she steal the cosmic key? Did she come to Gwildor? Obviously, Gwildor sees her as a beautiful woman, but it feels like she deliberately, I'd like to think she didn't show up looking like Evelyn. She showed up looking like a beautiful woman, takes the cosmic key, then transforms to let her know that, I stole from you or something like that. But it just made me think of, her deceiving him in the movie as well.
How did they, by the way, because I know the movie, back and forth in your head, like back of your hand, how did Gwildor describe about when he gave that cosmic key or whatever to a female? How did that happen with Evelyn getting it? What was said there?
A beautiful woman, heard about his fame as a locksmith, and he essentially, became, trusting of her, and she tricked him and stole the key. Like that's a quote. She tricked me. She stole the key. And she approached him as a beautiful woman, and said she heard about what he could do, and and that's kind of what when I read this, I'm like, not to say that would have been the specific, because obviously that's not how she is mentioned in that exposition in the movie, but I saw it as something that could work plausibly. Because maybe when he sees a female Thenorian, maybe he would see her as a beautiful woman. Like, whoa.
Oh, sure, because that's his. Oh, yeah, that's his. Exactly, that's his species, race of people, however you want to describe it. But that would have been a kind of cool twist, admitting if that actually existed in the movie, if it would have been done back in the day. Could you picture? You would have seen somebody looking like Thalia, one of Gwildor's people, and after she leaves with the key, she would, just like how with Julie, then turn into Evelyn. But I liked it. I liked that it was a cool, unique, refreshing, different type of character put in that, only to do the twist. And only Evelyn can do that to us. She gets us every time with that damn, changing back to herself.
That was something that Karsten and I, when we were wanting to do like a bunch of like mini comics to all tie into the movie, I was going to do a bunch of prequel stories, and one of them I've got part of the Blade story worked out, but I was going to do one for Gwildor and set up that whole scenario of how Evelyn approaches him and tricks him and takes the cosmic key and sets up the events of the live action movie. Like that was part of one of the things I was wanting to do with Karsten. But I mean, it has some interesting ideas. Like, I could buy the fact that that's what Sorod, and it shows Sorod without his mask.
Yeah, it's just
and it's
different.
More lizard-like, and I could buy that that's what he might look like without the mask. But I'm not sure what the artist was thinking because I don't like how Blade is colored. Blade looks very emasculating. He doesn't look as threatening. Like, there's times where he looks kind of like kind of goofy with his teeth. Kind of looks all kind of hillbilly
I
like.
see. Do you think that they were getting some inspiration from some of the early concept looks and figures of how it looked
Well, I
like
mean,
that?
the early
Maybe.
concept drawings of Blade, he's got a mouth guard over his face, like he doesn't. You
Well,
can't see his mouth.
Well, that one, there's an early, I thought, prototype figure, and hopefully somebody can correct me in the chat room, that I thought they showed of Blade, and I understand probably a mouth guard, but from a distance, I almost thought it looked like a whole bunch of teeth. It was a weird design. Do you know what I'm talking about, Tyler? This earlier concept of Blade's figure? I hope I'm not
I
making
mean, the
this
only
up.
prototypes I ever saw of Blade are the ones with the mouth guard.
Okay. I almost want to look it up,
I
but
mean,
you go ahead, because
not just based on what William Stout drew, but the Mattel prototypes of the
yeah,
actual
I
action
know,
figure. Yes, yeah. No, I don't recall any other one other than those.
because I wanted to find. Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and yes, okay, it's an early prototype, and you could definitely find on He-Man.org. It's black around, and then the center is white, and it could, like you said, it
Yeah,
was
that's
probably
the
a
one I'm
mouth.
talking about.
Okay, well, I guess it could be again how people interpret things and see it different. I remember when I first seen that, I even thought, man, he is smiling his ass off. I thought that he just has some big teeth. So makes you wonder, were they kind of looking at that and thinking he had a whole bunch of teeth? I don't know, but I can, like you said, understand it being a mouth guard. That's what it's supposed to be. I can see that.
But I mean, I just kind of feel like Blade. I mean, even though I'm glad to see him used so prominently, Sorod's in it, Beastman, like movie style Beastman's using it. I wasn't.
Oh, what about
like,
the discs? Did you get a kick out of the things He-Man wrote?
Seeing the flying disc was cool.
Yeah,
I did like that.
I like
That was a fun
Yeah.
movie nod. The pirate stuff I didn't mind so much, but it's not what I would have chose. I mean, honestly, I see Blade as a complete loner, not anybody that leads a band of pirates. Like, and obviously, like you said, it's probably because of the whole eye patch. He carries swords, therefore he must be a pirate. And probably because there was no backstory given to Blade, so I can't fault these guys for Chris Webber, the writer of this. What do I do with this guy? He's got an eye patch. He's got swords. I'll make him a pirate because there is no pirate. And honestly, I've always felt that He-Man could use a pirate, not the space pirates of Sticky Fingers. That was not what I was going for. Something that would have been more in line with, the Hammerhead and the Pirates and Thundercats, the Berserker, excuse me, or like kind of what we're given here, but with the He-Man fantasy sci-fi element mixed into it. But I wouldn't have made Blade a pirate, no. But I do like the idea of having a pirate villain lead a faction of pirates that is like a hired mercenary. Like Skeletor could hire him, Hordak could hire him, kind of like Seahawk, the opposite of Seahawk almost. Sure. But I mean, but it was fine.
No, and like you said, we're not. Again, you guys, if you haven't, you can always get that gigantic newspaper comic strip book collection from Dark Horse. Tyler and I we just pick parts, talk about little pieces here and there. We definitely didn't want to do the whole story for you. I mean,
they're not short stories.
Pieces.
Like these are
it's
stories.
long. Yeah, they're lengthy, and that's why we do bits and pieces, but also that keeps it to your own personal satisfaction when you can read and experience the whole thing. But one of the things I found interesting, it's like you said, you wonder what parts of canon they go by, but when Blade easily sliced He-Man's harness, I was like, ooh, I couldn't picture it, especially knowing from Filmation, the Korodite, and you figure this thing is probably in my head. That's almost impenetrable. What the hell kind of blade does Blade have, no pun intended, to slash He-Man's vest? Did you catch that part? Because that caught my attention immediately.
Well, see, I don't look at it as that He-Man's power harness would be indestructible. It just enhances his power. Like, I would feel like, like the actual material it's made out of is not like Eternium or photanium, like the strongest metal. I figured it to be like a standard harness that He-Man would wear, but when you got
just an enhancer from the Korodite, just enhanced,
right there, that when he becomes He-Man, that just it's an extra enhancement. I don't see the whole harness itself is sturdy or as strong as. No, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I envisioned is, sure, I mean, you could say, yes, it could still have damage, but I found it just so quickly, destroyed basically with one swipe of a blade, but that attests to Blade's skills with the weapons maybe, and maybe he does have a very strong blade, but I never like seeing my hero having something happen to his outfit. It was kind of weird to me, like, damn, it just got cut. And they at least, thank goodness, kept a good continuity to that, meaning sometimes in cartoons or comics, you'll see something happen, but in the next 2 frames, everything's back to normal. Then it might be off again. They did keep that pretty. I mean, they kept it constant for the whole thing.
Honestly, and I chose not to use this idea, but I actually had something written down very similar to this, to the Blade story that me and Carson were doing, because I was using the Blade story to set up events as well. Like all those stories would set up, and I had actually had an idea of Skeletor hiring Blade, like before I make put this big plan of mine into action, like, you know, hinting at the whole cosmic key and taking over Grayskull. To prove that you're worth joining my ranks, bring me He-Man's power harness. Don't kill him. You bring me his power harness, and I will hire you as one of my mercenaries. And because that would set up He-Man's new look for the movie, with the cape and the black harness with the dragon, the gold motif, and everything. And then to see this in here, I'm like, maybe that wasn't such a far-fetched idea. Like, maybe because I just felt like it seems so kind of forced and odd, like to put this in the story here. But when I see it done here, not that it's done for storytelling purposes, but to see Blade slashing something that He-Man has worn so prominently, that maybe you could, okay, this is how we get the new look for the He-Man movie. He has a new look because his original harness has been destroyed or damaged, something like that.
It definitely got your attention when it happened, though. It's something that kept. Because it's not anything you used to see. We've seen him have his harness taken off, but never really just to that level damaged. At least from the stories I remember, I don't remember that kind of damage. I'm sure somebody here in the chat room might know, or even Dushin, but I just don't remember it. Because a lot of people say, hey, you remember how bad Merman used to be back in the old mini comics? He was so strong that he took He-Man.
See, and that's probably the same mentality who's sitting in the same Melaktha as an old grump. They see one shot, one image, and
you're right. And when people see it, they all thought Merman beat the piss out of He-Man to take his vest. It's like, did you read the whole comic? Did you see that He-Man, there was a gust of wind, he flew out of the Wind Raider, he was unconscious. Then Merman took it, and he even threw a rock on He-Man again just to make sure. Then he took that power harness.
Well, no, they don't have time. They don't have time to do all that. They've got to be right now.
Yeah. So this again. It is a story that has a lot of characters that we remembered, some that didn't get as much screen time, comic time. So seeing anybody like definitely Blade, Saw-Rod, or somebody make an appearance, it's fun to finally read different things without it always being the same characters all the time. So you guys have to get this book. You have to check the story out. It's not one of the most amazing story arcs that I've read so far in this book, but it's still a fun one because I'm trying to go on. Again, I'm just doing this bit by bit. I want to experience this book with like you and the fans each time we do it. When we bring it up, I'm like, I'll save it for when we're doing it on that day or that weekend and just keep going along. So I don't know any of the other stuff that goes on. It'd be interesting to see where else this story goes.
No, and I'm fine with just handling it that way, and just kind of we both experience it as we go along for the first time. So no, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay, good. I mean, yeah, it keeps it fresh. It feels like I'm getting something new all the time. So I'm good. I'm somebody that's never been one that was jumping for surprises or wanting to know what did somebody get me or what about. I have a really good patience. So I sit there and I know the book's right in front of me, but not going to read it. So, all right, well, that's that story. Now, before we get to right now, it's your time, everybody in the chat room. Any questions you want to ask us pertaining to cartoon, comics, toys, anything else, pop it in the chat room because I'm going to pass it to Tyler if he has any recommendations or anything he wants to say before we get to you guys.
I really can't say I have anything off the top of my head. I'll throw this out to listeners. You know, I'd like to do another commentary maybe next week or the week after that. I'd like to hear like a unanimous commentary that the fans would like us to do. We've never asked the fans like what would be a commentary for a Filmation or even MYP, an episode of He-Man from either Filmation, MYP, or She-Ra that they would like us to do. So that's I'll throw out that recommendation to get from the fans.
All right, yeah. I was, you know, what's funny is before this just popped up, I was like, they hopefully better not say something that Tyler doesn't want to hear or me.
No,
somebody did say it.
And when I say this, I mean in all seriousness. Don't throw out The Island or Star Child.
They did.
No.
It popped up. But well, let me get to one of these questions real quick. And also, I did want to say next week, I won't be able to do either the podcast next week. And I'm just saying it now. I didn't want you guys getting concerned or worried. I'm okay, but just some health. I gotta do something next week. But I'm not going to be on next week, but I'll be on the week after. But I'm okay. So I don't want people freaking out if they're wondering why I wasn't here next week. There's something I got to take care of. But things are good. They're good. Just something I have to do. So just
all right.
Say that.
We will honor that word.
Okay. But okay, Zentron said, which 6 characters from across any of the animated series could you see having to share a house together? Would be some good roommates. I know you probably always got to put Mechaneck and Buzz off together some way together. I don't know if he's talking about heroes or anybody together, in general, because it's always Cobra Con, Webstor, somebody else to throw into the mix. It'd be a strange thing. Maybe Ram Man in there. I don't know. Tyler, any thoughts? Because that's a interesting question. Just trying to think of who would be 6 housemates together for a bit. Steichel could be there to do the dusting. I don't know.
I kind of figure if we're setting this up for like some lame ass like reality show, and if they're going to be interviewing all the members of the house like individually and like saying, I really was up to being Grizzler's like foosball partner, but you know what? When he refused to take a bath, like his BO was just really get to me. And I couldn't handle it. Like I refused to play with the guy. I think he's a prick. I think he's egotistical, and he stinks, or something like that.
How about that? Some of the heroic warriors or the good guys got done using the bathroom. They're like, it's pretty bad. Moss Man, go in there, freshen it up. He has to go in there and stand and use his powers to freshen up the bathroom. So,
and Stinkor walks in. Man, I just had El Monterey, guys. I'll be in there for a while.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. It's from one smell to another. That's a fun question. I appreciate that.
I'd say Moss Man, Stinkor, Dilemma, because I can see him being a real prick in the house. Huntara, because she'd be like the badass tough girl of the house, but probably has like she would fall for Cyclone, so I put Cyclone in there. So that's was it Mossman, Stinkor, Dilemma, Huntara, Cyclone, and you know what? I'm gonna throw in Clan Champ as being the alpha male of the house. Like he's gonna be like the core, the holds the family together with his mighty grip. Yeah,
I could picture Stondar being in the house, and he's older, wiser, and he just gets so tired of hearing those kids argue. They're like, I've had enough of this, and he goes into
Stone Dar's gonna be the guy who lives next door. That when Clan Champ has to step out for a breather, like Stone Dar's in the back. Clan, I can help you there, my lad. He's kind of like just that friendly next door neighbor that's just there to offer.
He could be. He could be the friendly next door neighbor, or like I said, just the guy of the house, the older one that's trying to keep everybody calm. But when he can't take it, he just goes into his rock form, so he doesn't have to listen to them. And while he's in that rock form, resting, ignoring, I could picture them using him as like a coffee table, putting shit on top of his back, and just like, poor Stondar would be just like mocked then. And then when he rises back up, you hear all the shit falling off his back, all the glasses. Oh, I like that Zentron. Thanks, man. Okay, let's see. Kyle Kendall. He said he'd still like to get a tour of each of our collections. Not next week, but you know what? Maybe the week after, because I got to do some rearranging in this room. Maybe I finally will do the tour thing. It'd be fun to do. And I'm sure Tyler could. Well, he's got his wall of ego there. He's got his figures in back room, so Tyler can give a tour too. So we could do that.
Sure, if people want to see my wall of ego, I'm more than happy to. Well, this is the time.
That'll take the whole hour and a half.
This is the time that I teamed up with Lion-O. This is the time that I took on Tuvar, Ninjor, in the Castle Grayskull movie theater courts. I mean, I've got an adventure behind every.
Could you picture that, Tyler? Here. 9 o'clock we start doing the picture. 9 o'clock we start doing that episode, and they're like, "Okay, Tyler, you start off," and you start off on your wall of ego, and then an hour and a half later, it's like, "What about you, Joe?" It's like, "Well, Tyler, time's up. We have to end this stream. We'll get to me next week because an hour and a half will be spent just on all of them damn." Isn't it? That's
because every one of these battles is a story. Every single one of them has a story to be told. And you want to deny these people because you just have to show off your Australian, altered version of Leech.
I'll have something strange to show people. So, but yeah, Kyle, we'll get that in a couple weeks. Sportimus said, "How did you 3 meet, and how did this podcast start?"
We met at a women's rights conference, and we all just agreed, you know what? I think we should take our message to the people. We should start a podcast, And we just kind of realized we all liked him at the same time too. But it started out we were standing up for women's rights, and it just kind of snowballed into this.
And see, that's Tyler's version. My version is it was Facebook. I used to do a podcast a while ago, which if Renee Chavez is still here in the chat room to know, it was Council of the First Ones. And that was my introduction into podcasts. I never knew what the hell a podcast was back in that day. And I had to get like a hookup for my computer. If you think this quality's bad, it was like 10 times worse. But like I said, it was fun. Did that podcast and eventually did a different podcast. And when it came to be, me and Tyler, I know that we started talking through Facebook and then we started talking through Skype. I was like, man, you know a lot of stuff about this.
You left out the prime of how we met, though.
How was then I can lead into that. How was the first part? Because your memory again is better than mine.
There was an open call for Global Masters podcast. And before you agreed to let me join it, you wanted to talk to me to make sure I wasn't an idiot.
That was it. Thank you. That was it. And then when I talked to this guy, I was like, holy piss. I've never met somebody that just has this, knowledge of the cartoon like he does and absorbing information. And the more we talked, yes, I was like, eventually, yeah, you got to get on this show. But when that podcast, eventually went away and this new podcast started, I was like, okay, Tyler, you got to be a part of this as well because still, so much and it would just make a great mix. And from there, that's how that happened. And eventually how Nathan started getting onto this show was Tyler and I were talking about, man, we should talk about other stuff besides He-Man. It'd be cool to have another podcast talking about like old movies and TV shows and games and everything. And Tyler said, well, I have a buddy, Nathan. This guy knows so much stuff and wrestling and everything. He'd be great. And I was like, let's do it. Let's just have Nathan. Let's do this thing. And immediately, the first time I talked with Nathan, it just clicked just like with Tyler. Just two guys that know a lot of stuff, have fun, love reminiscing and talking about things that I see in the future too. And then eventually, yes, Nathan started recording the podcast for us. And he likes to participate on this show when it's something, like I said, he is the mini comic book. So it's something he at least could know. Because he admits, he says he doesn't know a lot of the crazy behind the scenes stuff or a lot of the crazy characters. And sometimes he says he just really wouldn't want to discuss that and look like maybe he didn't know a lot about the property. So Nathan does join us when it's things he feels comfortable with or any. Oh, shit! There
like
he
when
is.
we talk about Nathan, he feels comfortable.
I appear
when we're talking.
It's like Beetlejuice, man. You say my name 3 times.
And I did say it 3 times, but yeah, it's like, there was a podcast that I would do once in a while called the Thundercast. That's with Thomas Guerra and Tyler.
No, not anymore.
Okay, well, he said not no more. But when they were doing it, I said, guys, I'm going to be honest. I can't do this podcast all the time. I said, I know Thundercats a little. I said, but when I hear you talk, I sound like an idiot. And I'm not saying that's what Nathan sounds like. I'm not saying that at all. No, just because Nathan's like, huh? But
the main reason that I sit out on most of the stuff is just I don't want to come on here and just between the knowledge of the both of you, there's things that I just wouldn't be able to say. I'm like, well, all right, well, you guys know this. I'm just sitting here.
And I understand, right? No, because like I said, I understand where you're coming from because that's how I felt on the Thundercast. I didn't want to come on and just like, man, I don't know what they're talking about half the time. And it seems like it flowed better with them. And I know you said the same thing with me and Tyler. There's the things that we might know that we flow with. But, oh, yeah, Nathan is definitely a part of this show. It's when he wants to come on, he says. It's like anytime he wants to. And we have topics he's comfortable with, bam, he's on. But otherwise, yeah, I'll just sit back there, Nathan. Don't say nothing. Just record the show, go play a game or something, or suck down some hot sauce and have 11 hiccups.
No more the hot sauce, Joe.
Yeah. So yeah, Nathan, he had a bad effect, but he is part of the show. So yes, thank you, Sportimus, for asking that. That's how we all kind of met, and I'm glad, like I said, I met both these guys because we all click and we have a blast doing this podcast, and it's how we met all you guys. I mean, a good portion of everybody on in the chat room too. It's like I said, I love that you guys are part of the show as well. So stick around, Nathan. We don't want you to go yet, but I want to see. Fedmon said, "What about doing a New Adventures commentary?" Oh, we'd be all for that. We could do a New Adventures commentary sometime.
It's always a hard sell because so many people don't like the show. And it's hard because Joe leaves it up to me. It's really hard to pick an episode that Joe and now Nathan can feel like, why did Tyler pick this episode?
Well, I did hear that Joe was going to be absent next week. So if I have to hang around and do this show with old Egomaniac over here, then why don't we just do a commentary on a New Adventures episode next week?
God, I wouldn't know which one to pick though.
Well, just pick one and we'll do it. It'll be fun.
I almost feel like I know we've done the first episode, but I almost feel like could I tackle that again, but with new eyes? Like have Nathan watch the very first episode with me.
If that's what you want to do, I don't care. But now I'm gonna stress about like, all right, if it's Tyler and myself doing the show next week and Joe's not here, no one will tune in.
What we might do is just what we could do, and then just have like we'll do like the fans dictate what we talk about. If he wants to, and not answer questions like we're doing now, but let you throw out, hey, discuss this. Like, all right, and then we could kind of let just spitball it there. We'll do like the fan appreciation thing. We'll say that for later on, but we could do like where the fans decide what we talk about kind of thing.
Or,
that way it takes the pressure off of Nathan, and we just let the fans kind of like, hey, it's when the teacher's away, then the mice will play. So while Joe's gone, we'll have some fun. His because we can't do it when he's here.
Oh, that's cold.
Wait,
but
what? All right, whatever.
All right, so stay here.
Okay.
Because one of you two might get this. JSP gave a movie quote, and I don't know it. Movie quote: Bookham, impersonating an officer, resisting arrest, fraud, reckless driving, and lying to the sheriff. I don't know it. Do either of you know this quote?
It sounded kind of familiar.
It's weird. It's like
it sounds like it's from that movie. It Takes Two with the Olsen twins and Steve Guttenberg.
Are you dead serious? What the hell is that? How the hell would you know that? You what?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I'm just throwing out a really random thing.
Well, it'll be when I scroll down later. I'll find out. So JSP, don't have a clue. Adam Gabbert said, Joe and Tyler, what are your thoughts on changing Orko for the Masters of the Universe Classic? He said it's the figure that gets dipped in water. It was cool. I mean, I still have that, and it was cool as an exclusive. I mean, just thank God it wasn't the official figure, but as a cool gimmick, I always got into gimmicks. So I don't know if you had it, Tyler, but I got a kick out of that gimmick.
No, I didn't get a kick out of it.
He's like, I didn't get a kick out of it. Didn't want it. But,
of course not.
It just don't get excited over that kind of stuff.
All right, let me see. Omegator said, any guesses on the next Classics line from Super 7? Whew. I would, in my world, I'd love to see some more movie figures based off the 87 movie, which what if that was a surprise that they announced they did get the rights and we got like a God Skeletor and then that version of Beastman, or we got a He-Man, or got a Pig Boy, or, any of them. I would like something like that, but go ahead, Tyler. I don't know if you had any thoughts, but that would be fun.
I mean, that's now become a pipe dream to me.
Sagittar from New Adventures. What a massive figure that could be if they made him. God. Oh, I love that.
That and KO or Nocturna or Vizar. But I'd also say probably some of the characters that Axel's designed, like or that we have come close to, like Slamurai and the Snake Man Horde Trooper, like those, or some of the created like Snake Men that Axel had done, or Lady Slither. Some of the more recently created characters, I could see that some of those being done. But I'd like to see New Adventures represented again. Give us a Galactic Guardian, because I'd really like to see KO or Vizar, or Sagittar, of course. But I think maybe another Horde member we have not yet got yet. But of course, I'm always going to say Azrog and Spydra.
Yes.
I mean, I think at this point, it's hard to predict, because the characters I really want, I would say Brian Flint. What do you think about this guy? He'd probably say who? So.
Oh God, yeah, you had me. I admit there was one character Filmation that I wish I could have seen. Like, of course, maybe that'd be in another wave. I still want to see the Filmation Ram Man, because he's so vastly different in design.
If we had gotten that in last week's reveal, that would have helped tremendously, because that is a drastically different kind of Ram Man. It's not the same essential figure with a different color scheme with a slight variation here. That is a completely different figure. That makes more sense, and that
It
gives
is
me more reason
different.
to be excited. Yes, it is a variant,
Yeah.
but it's a very drastically different variant.
Vastly different. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Just the design.
Yes.
It's vastly different. So, but thank you for that. Let's see. Zentron had his movie quote, and I think I'm going to fail this too.
Wait, how many movie quotes are we doing here?
Well, one was JSP, and now Zentron
So
had
we
one.
just decided to just give away my gimmick to everybody else. Like, what the hell with my trademark on this podcast? Like, I know Joe just kind of handed it off because he's just trying to be nice, but now we're doing
getting them fired up. I'm going to ask this real quick before you do this other movie quote because I was sitting in the living room, so I've pretty much missed most of this episode. But was Tyler being grumpy again?
No, he wasn't grumpy. Everything was cool, so it was good. Okay. But his quote is Zentron said, "It ate him, bit his head off like a gingerbread man." God, I don't know. You guys are all stumping me, but
I don't know, probably Jack Frost about to kill a snowman.
Or maybe gingerbread. Oh no, that wouldn't be making no sense. All right, let me scroll down.
Eaten Alive with Robert Englund. You know, his name's
I haven't watched that movie in a long time.
God, that movie sucks.
I can't say that one from Fedmon. I think you'll know why I can't do that. Who that whale? Thank you for joining us. Just seeing you just popped up, man. I even mentioned you earlier. Nathan Joe has an ulcer from the sauce. Better check yourself. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have sent him that hot sauce. It's the only good thing I did. I am trying to see if my thing skips on me. That's what sucks is when I do this, it'll like hiccup and I'll miss a quote. So I was even going to ask Nathan Nathan, did you see anything I missed?
I mean, Zen Brown said that he liked how I tried to chase the hot sauce nugget with another nugget.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Wait, let me see. I'm missing it. Oh, that's terrible. I've actually missed everything of what people said.
Well, JSP's quote was from Raw Deal. So
oh, God,
I'm not ashamed to admit Raw Deal is one of the least watched Arnold films. I just have not been a big fan of Raw Deal in general. So I don't take shame in missing that quote there.
I haven't seen that in years. I mean, years from probably when I went.
It's just not something I've revisited that much.
It was something I remember just renting on VHS so long ago. So that's been a long time. So yeah, I didn't get it. Let's see. Fedmon said we need Crackers the Clown in plastic form. Sportimus said we need a Filmation Rayman short and squatty. Kyle Kendall said we need Strong Arm in the 5.5-inch line. I absolutely agree with that as well. Zentron said the movie quote was called From Beyond. What the hell is From Beyond? I don't even know that one, Zentron. I'm an idiot. Have you ever heard of From Beyond?
I've heard of that name. I've heard of that movie title, but I couldn't tell you what the movie was.
And also, you know what I forgot? I forgot to give an acknowledgement to JH4073 that joined us early in the chat room. I think that's who it was. And also, Tags Media Animations just popped up right here. So thank you for joining us. We're just almost wrapping it up. But yeah, just popped up. So there, I think we got all the quotes. We got all the things. So we'll see what Nathan's going to find out what From Beyond is, and then we'll probably wrap this up.
From Beyond's a Stuart Gordon film, director of Reanimator and the such. It's a. I've only seen the movie once. It's strange. It's out there. It's enjoyable.
Now I can imagine. I just never heard of that, so I feel good it wasn't a Friday 13th thing I botched up. So, all right. So now that we're done, I could just say what I always say. First, I want to say everybody that was in the chat room, thank you for joining us. We love having you here. Hope I did acknowledge everybody and at least got to most of the questions. If I didn't, I apologize, but it just happens when it goes quick on me.
Well, that may have been a really important question targeted to me, and you just decided to screw the pooch on that one, Joe.
No,
I think I got everybody.
No one wants to ask you anything, Tyler.
Exactly. So, but for anybody new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and ring. I'm sitting there making words up and ring that bell right there, because when you ring that bell, you're always notified of new content when we go live, because sometimes it might be on other days. So, for everybody here, until next time, have a powerful day. What?
I just kind of feel like you guys are pulling away my trademark here, and I'm like, when I said it, I'm just like everybody else now. I no longer stand apart. My gimmick on this show is gone.
Everybody's gonna start now. Probably like when I always say have a powerful day, you probably have everybody doing it.
Movie quote here, guy. Here's my movie quote. See, can you guess mine? Yeah, just,
what movie is that from?
It's not. It's an original. Here's my quote. Have you ever heard of insect politics? Neither have I.
What was that quote again?
Have you ever heard of insect politics? Neither have I.
I don't know what Nathan. You probably do.
No, I didn't, but
Nathan knows. Nathan should know what this is.
Oh no, actually, I didn't. I looked it up just now, and it makes sense in the context of how much you were talking. So I guess we can do that next week for Beyond Retro, since Joe won't be able to make the show.
Well, I thought that was just Fans of Power. Joe can't make Beyond Retro too.
I thought he said both shows.
I can't do either one. I'm sorry, but
we're off the air. I didn't know we were off.
We're not off the air. What are you doing?
Because it says off air up here.
No,
did it?
No, it's still going.
All right,
Tyler, you idiot.
Well, who that whale asked? Was it Dumb and Dumber?
No. Good guess though. Arachnophobia. That's also a good guess.
You're gonna have to give it to it. What is it? I don't know it. Go ahead.
Jeff Goldblum in The Fly.
Oh shit! Another movie I've
Joe,
seen
I was gonna say, Joe's like, I had a traumatic experience at Arby's one time after watching The Fly, so I can't do The Fly.
I was freaking out, but no, only seen it like maybe twice. So yeah, it's been.
Well, there we go. Next week's Beyond Retro. There we go. Tyler, we'll do The Fly.
We will do The Fly next week. So if you like The Fly or have revisit, check out Beyond Retro next week.
All right.
All right. See you guys next time.
Later.